In the spring of 1533, Florence glimmered with deceptive beauty. Beneath its marble facades, whispers flowed about a young woman chosen to marry into the French royal family, a marriage set to unite two powerful worlds, the wealth of the Medici and the prestige of the Valois. Her name was Catherine. Born into one of Italy's most infamous dynasties and orphaned at an early age, she was raised in the shadows of intrigue and silent peril. Every gesture she learned, every smile she offered, carried the precision of survival. At just 14, Catherine de' Medici was chosen as the bride for Henry, the second son of King Francis I of France. This wasn't a marriage of love, but of pure politics. Her uncle, Pope Clement VII, arranged the union to secure his family's power. Few could have predicted that this quiet girl from Florence would one day become one of the most formidable rulers in France, a woman whose mind, not her lineage, would shape the fate of a kingdom. The journey to France was a silent one. Catherine sat in her carriage watching the fields pass by, keenly aware that her life was being traded for alliances. When she arrived, the French court greeted her with a cautious curiosity. She was neither the most beautiful nor the most influential woman there, but behind her dark eyes lay a calm intelligence that many mistook for meekness. The wedding took place in Marseille, attended by kings, princes, and bishops. The city was draped in gold and crimson banners, yet beneath the grand display, Catherine's heart carried a quiet dread. Her groom, Henry, was distant, barely speaking to her. Unknown to Catherine, his heart already belonged to another woman, the noble and much older Diane de Poitiers, whose presence would haunt Catherine's marriage for decades. The wedding feast lasted for days, but when the doors of the bridal chamber closed that night, the illusion of union dissolved. The moment that should have sealed her place became the beginning of a life defined by humiliation. Henry's indifference was no secret. The court knew it, and the whispers began the very next morning. The foreign bride had failed to win the prince's affection. France's courtiers, cruel in their amusement, began treating her as a mere ornament, useful only for her dowry. But Catherine learned quickly. She watched, listened, and remembered. Her education in Florence had taught her that survival in a court of serpents required a silence sharper than any blade. While others mocked her, she observed them, their ambitions, their weaknesses, their lies. And though her marriage lacked love, it would become the very instrument through which she would one day master France itself. Years passed. Henry remained loyal only to Diane, and Catherine's loneliness grew into something more dangerous than sorrow. It became resolve. Her failure to bear children in the early years was used against her. Rumors spread that she was cursed or barren. Desperate to secure her place, Catherine turned to the knowledge of her Italian heritage, ancient medical practices, and herbal secrets. Finally, her prayers were answered. She bore her first child, then another, and another, 10 in total, securing the Valois line. With each birth, her influence grew. She knew her survival depended not on her husband's love, but on her children's future. And when King Francis I died and Henry became King Henry II, Catherine finally became Queen of France. Yet even as queen, she was overshadowed. Henry's affection for Diane de Poitiers was absolute. Diane wore jewels meant for the queen and even guided political decisions. Catherine endured it all in silence, concealing her fury beneath a mask of obedience. But masks can hide the sharpest intentions. In the halls of the Louvre, Catherine began to weave her web. Her intelligence, once ignored, became her weapon. She built networks of informants and allies. She knew every nobleman's ambition, every court lady's affair. The turning point came in 1559. During a grand jousting tournament, a lance shattered and pierced King Henry's eye. The wound proved fatal. As Henry lay dying, Catherine, calm and composed, banished Diane de Poitiers from his bedside. Years of humiliation condensed into a single act of authority. When Henry died, Catherine's long years of patience ended. As mother to the new boy king, Francis II, she became regent in all but name. Power, once denied to her, now rested firmly in her hands. The French court trembled. Those who had mocked her now bowed before her. The woman once pitied as the unwanted Italian bride had become the architect of France's destiny. Her rule, however, unfolded in a nation torn apart by religious wars between Catholics and Huguenots. Pragmatic and ruthless, Catherine sought balance through cunning diplomacy, shifting allegiances and making promises she never intended to keep. To her, power wasn't about victory, it was about endurance. Her children became instruments of her strategy. She arranged their marriages with precision, binding France to Spain, Scotland, and the Holy Roman Empire. When her son Charles IX ascended the throne, Catherine's influence became absolute. The court called her Madame la Serpente, the Serpent Queen. Her methods were feared, but her foresight was undeniable. The darkest chapter of her legacy came with the St. Bartholomew's Day massacre in 1572, a night of violence born from decades of division. While historians still debate her exact role, one thing is certain. Catherine understood power as few ever have. She believed that to rule one must command both love and fear, and when love fails, fear must suffice. In her later years, diplomats from across Europe feared her, even as they courted her favor. She had transformed from the abandoned bride into the strategist who controlled kings. Those who saw her described her as calm, but behind that serenity lay a storm of calculation. She carried the weight of France's future and the ghosts of her past. When Catherine died in 1589, she left behind a divided France, but her name had become legend. Some called her a villain, others a genius. In one of her letters, she wrote, "He who does not see the world as it is, but as he wishes it to be, walks toward his ruin." It was a truth she had lived from her first night in France to her last breath. Catherine de' Medici's story is not just of a scheming queen. It is the story of a woman forced to survive in a world ruled by men, where her intellect became her shield. Her reign was born from pain, not as vengeance, but as transformation. Every humiliation became a lesson, every betrayal a blueprint. Her calmness hid her ambition. Her politeness disguised her control. She turned grief into governance, a widow who ruled from the shadows that once consumed her. From the girl mocked on her wedding night to the queen who dictated France's destiny, Catherine de' Medici's life remains one of history's most extraordinary transformations. Her empire was built not with armies, but with an intellect sharper than any sword. She became what the age demanded, ensuring her name would never be forgotten. Thank you for watching. If you found this story as fascinating as we do, please like this video and subscribe to our channel for more tales from history. We'll see you next time.